I blame millennials. Well, I blame
millennials for what?
Boomers.
Well, millennials, what are they doing?
I mean, they're trying to make it. I think most people.
Yeah,
are.
I guess, but like, how many millennials are actually running for office? You know what they're doing instead?
They are, but
I'll tell you what millennials are doing. They're complaining on the internet. These guys putting up like cameras in their bedrooms and then doing these YouTube shows where they bring people in. All they do is talk. Yeah. Probably wear a beanie 24/7. Not running for office, not leading the charge.
It just won't grow up.
It's hard.
See, I could make fun of the other millennials while I make fun of myself.
But the thing is that when you have institutional power, I know so many politicians who they never want to leave. I mean, Joe Biden was in office for 100,000 years. Mm-hmm. He's been in office for something like 25% of the history of the country, and he never wants to leave. There was probably other people in Senate of Delaware, but they were never going to be ousted they're not going to oust Joe Biden. They're never going to oust Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is like a turtle. I mean, he literally is like 300 years old. Dianne Feinstein is in her mid-90s, and she is just there forever. And it's just there's younger people in California who want to run for office. Ro Khanna could be that position, but they never get the opportunity because people just stay forever. And I'm not supportive of term limits, so I'm not endorsing that. But I mean, you never want to let that stage go.
Something weird did happen because I pulled up this thing from Pew about the generational gap in politics. 2018 was interesting. We're seeing a lot more younger people. There's what was his name? Madison Cawthorn.
Madison Cawthorn.
AOC, obviously. You're getting a lot more younger people who are coming in. But there really was a period where millennials, and I'm not going to blame Gen Z. They're not quite at that point yet. But millennials are entering getting close to their 40s.
Yeah, and we only have a handful.
And who's doing anything substantive in politics and culture, leading the charge? So as much as I can make fun of myself, like I think what we're doing is important. We're engaging in civics, we're engaging in politics, we're communicating with other millennials and talking about these issues. Obviously the people who are watching are engaged, but there is a large portion of millennials who are just abstaining from political leadership.
But look at them. I mean, and I'm not giving excuses to people out, but we did get it rough. We came into age during the 08 crisis. We did, and then we got the COVID into our 30s. There was a lot of speed bumps that we hit on the way to adulthood.
And that's why I was going to say maybe I blame boomers a bit.
Boomers definitely deserve a lot of blame for a lot of things. They held on to power for too long. They misguided it. They had these large notions. They didn't have the sense of duty they didn't expand the sense of duty that their parents did in the Great
Weren't they
Generation.
hippies?
Yeah, they're the hippie generation.
Some of them.
Yeah. Only
older
a
ones.
percentage, though.
But could you imagine this generation?
Geriatric boomers, as I'm a geriatric millennial, I've been told.
That's rude.
Yeah.
But could you imagine these boomers who are like hippies, who are partying and like live free love, and then as soon as they got older, they were like, my stuff. Mine.
And listen to Dr. Fauci.
Right.
That is literally who they became, is everything they hated.
I've heard that the hippie movement really got derailed by the drugs. Like, they just did too many.
Yeah.
And they just
as fun as it was, but people that have looked back were like, if we hadn't done all the drugs, we would have been able to have a political movement for real.
Well, I'm sure that when
the boomers
when you go
are
around
politics,
the Pentagon and try to levitate it with your brain, eventually.
Is that what they did?
Yeah.
Yes, that was famous. They were trying to levitate the Pentagon. Who was that? Was David Leary,
and
right?
that didn't work.
That didn't. Surprisingly, it wasn't like that ball that keeps levitating. It didn't happen. So I mean,
well, hold on. But was it like, were they doing like light as a feather, stiff as a board, where you get like 7 million?
I don't think they can hold underneath the Pentagon. but no, this is a famous. You don't know this? Yeah, I think it was David Leary who was like trying to levitate the Pentagon with their brain. I believe it was David Leary. But yeah, I mean they
not
did.
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary, not David Leary. David Leary was someone else.
He was like one of the pioneers of LSD.
Yeah. Timothy Leary. I think he tried to levitate the Pentagon.
Yeah, we got it from Smithsonian Mag.
Oh my
50 years ago, a ragtag group of acid-dropping activists tried to levitate the Pentagon.
Yes.
Imagine what you must have done wrong to create a generation where people all show up like, let's levitate the building, man. Wow. And they're like, nothing's happening, dude. Did you do more acid? Let me try.
Yeah. And one guy was like, wow, it worked. One guy was like, that totally worked. It was levitating. Totally worth it.
Too, dude, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
And we were levitating with it. Yeah. Yes, but I mean, and that's the generation that's out there and hung on to institutional power and wealth, and they have way too much of it, and in a lot of ways they sold out a lot of things that gave them that ability to amass that wealth because it made them wealthier. I mean, like things like normalizing trade relations with China and stopping a lot of other things as well. But yeah, that's the boom. The boomers deserve a lot of. And there's a great book by my co-podcast. I have a podcast with American Conservative Magazine called Right Now. My co-author, my podcast host Helen Andrews wrote a book called Boomers. It's a great book.
Cool.
It talks about.
Is it? I'm going to go ahead and say. We can keep reducing the problem, trying to figure out where it's rooted. You can say, well, the boomers, who had the boomers? The greatest generation?
Yeah, the silent generation.
Silent generation? No, silent was Gen Xers.
No, silent is like 1916. No, it's silent, boomers, X,
but the greatest generation was they came back from World War II and they had a bunch of babies.
Yeah,
and that generation was the boomers.
Yes.
So what did the greatest generation do wrong? That created a bunch of.
They made the suburbs, and that's where everything went wrong.
Really?
When
You
you
think
American
so?
dream.
No, I just think
I
think that if you grew up in the Depression and you grew up and you went to World War II, which was a lot of that generation growing up through really hard times, worse than millennials had it. You kind of want normalcy, and you probably are a little quieter in your beliefs, and that you don't sit there and overstimulate. Telling, a lot of things. And also, not all boomers. A lot of boomers went to Vietnam and they fought in a horrible war that they shouldn't have been a part of. And, some boomers did sacrifice a lot. But the overall, focus on me going to the suburbs, I need to have a bigger plot of land. I need to have, I think that definitely affected a lot of people's psyche as a part of, this is about me. Because those boomers later on went on to go, because if they were born in the 40s, they came of age voting for the me generation with Reagan. Their kids absorbed it big time, which was the Xers, who was probably our better generation we have alive today as the Xers. And I say that as a millennial, but
yes, true.
yeah, the Xers,
I
because they were the most ignored. The Xers never got attention for anything.
They were punk, man.
I think the greatest generation came back from all this hardship overseas, and they were like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that my kids have everything they want. I want them to live the American dream. I will raise them that way. I want them to go to college. I don't want them. That might have been.
But they also inherited they also inherited the greatest generation, everything they built. But also, if you grow up in depression and war and really terrible situations, of course you want normalcy for your kid. Of course, that is your natural instinct.
They built it on the back of war spoils. Basically, the U.S. was the only country that didn't get leveled during World War II. Our soil didn't get invaded, so we had massive wealth, and they created a system on top of that could only subsist with that level of wealth.
But if you look at the drop-off, it does decrease starting in the 70s. But when they normalize trade relations with China and when they go into NAFTA, you see it plummet and it catapult.
Nixon took us off the gold standard purely for that reason.
No, Nixon took us off the gold standard because he couldn't afford LBJ's spending deals, and he couldn't also pay for that anymore. Mm-hmm. He couldn't repeal it, and he needed to get off the gold standard. I mean, I don't think that was a great choice, but I don't blame Nixon for that because he couldn't get rid of the Great Society, and LBJ is one of the worst presidents of all time.
Millennials aren't leading, and I don't know if it's an excuse to say, well, we had two major economic crises. I mean, people have their hardship. The boomers also had Vietnam, didn't they?
Yeah, they had Vietnam, but they also had a massive amount of stability. And I think that, if you look at the inequality between generations, it's huge right now. Boomers hold huge sums of wealth, and it's not even close to where millennials will ever be.
This is crazy. I saw a
Something
post.
40% of millennials have not had their first child yet, and they're going to their 40s.
And there was some data from a few years ago that said people who are 29 have a negative net worth of about $1,000, and only at 30 do they go positive. But I saw a meme. I don't know if this is true. It was just a meme. And they said Mark Zuckerberg accounts for 2% of all millennial wealth.
Oh my God.
That would not surprise. I mean, that would be a shocking number, but it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the day.
2%. That's a lot. I mean, it sounds small, but consider how many millennials there are.
One guy
is 2%.
Well,
of all that wealth.
and add that to all the people who came out of the tech boom who created I don't know how much Tom from MySpace is worth, but all those
500
okay, but
million.
Still, if you add all those people together who made something and became a billionaire or 100 million or whatever, and accumulate them together, I'm sure they make up a dozen people probably make up a significant
half.
Yeah, I mean that is genuinely a wild number.
Look, I can look at the older generation and blame them for not instilling proper values in millennials. But when you get people who think the path towards making money is accruing hundreds of thousands of dollars in school debt.
But you're sold on that from a kid. You're sold.
I know, that's why
you're
I said we
gonna
can
go to
blame the older
college.
generation.
And
but at a certain point, there's got to be responsibility for the individuals. So that's why I look at this like our society sold a lie to millennials and screwed them over. So I'm in favor of some kind of debt relief that isn't just paying off everyone's debt. So I think maybe like terminating interest rates, pay down the principal, no more interest rates accrue, you can still defer. Because how do you have a generation, how do you have a country when an entire generation owns nothing except for like Mark Zuckerberg, and they're saddled with a debt that just keeps going up?
Well, more importantly, colleges should have to co-sign their loans.
Yeah.
Colleges should not. One, we should seize the endowments.
Yes.
There's no
Woo!
question.
Thank you.
Harvard has 120 billion by themselves, tax-free, that they do nothing besides, institute the worst ideas in the society. But colleges should have to co-sign your loan. If they're going to make you pay $200,000 for, a degree in basket weaving, they should co-sign that. They should not sit there and say, oh, best of luck to you on your path of, becoming a brand who sells baskets. I don't know anything, but they should have to co-sign your loan, because if they did, they would not give out the nonsense degrees they do. They would not have the cost be as high as they do, and they would reform something. I mean, colleges get away with a lot, and also they're so hypocritical, because it's like the home of the biggest leftists, the biggest bleeding heart progressives, and every way the college administration works is the most money grabbing kind of organization in the entire world. It is like a Wolf of Wall Street would not be as deceptive as college institutions are. And I say this as a college dropout, so I mean I didn't spend a lot of time in academia, but you see the way it works. It is they preach one thing and they operate a completely different way.
Scam factories.
It is a total scam factory.
It would be great to see colleges have an incentive to get jobs for the students.
That was the best thing that happened because of COVID. Was some people dropped out of college and they were like, I'm not going to go for a year and figure something out. I mean, I really hope some people figure something out besides going to college. Because I also didn't go, and I know I'm unique how I make money, whatever, but there has to be a path for people outside going to university. I mean, there has to be
maybe we needed some kind of, great restart or reset of the system.
But that's
some sort of reset. A great one.
Oh, is this like
great one?
Yeah. It took me a second. Yeah. No, but this is where I talked to a congressman from the Midwest the other day about this. They always talk about repatriating stuff from China now and bringing back our healthcare and our military stuff and our production value, actually building factories, whatever. If you left that up to market forces alone, they would go to Arizona, Texas, California for the shipping and the newest and best rail and all the rest, roads, everything, internet. Real infrastructure, not like the BS infrastructure that Biden was selling us on, like childcare. If you really want to revive the places who've been devastated for after 30, 40, 50 years of bad trade agreements and Chinese manipulation, all the rest of it, you need government power to sit there and say, okay, not only is this aspirin factory going to come back to the United States, it's going to go to Detroit. And we're going to figure out a way to make it incentivized for you to go to Detroit. It could be a tax thing. It could be, what do you need? You need better Wi-Fi. You need whatever you need. What do you need? We're going to make you go to Akron, Ohio, or go to Altoona, Pennsylvania, or go to Erie, Pennsylvania. These places that have been just there, they are on the precipice of annihilation as a people go, and that has a whole psyche with where you have, in America, in our lifetime, the life expectancy was declining in broad sections of the country. And this is in my book. If you are born, they're not listening, how the elites created the National Populist Revolution. But if you are born in Kentucky or West Virginia as a white person, or in the Mississippi Delta as a black person, or in the Native American reservations as a Native American person in South Dakota, you're going to die 20 years before someone who's born in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado. That is just the huge discrepancy of life expectancy. South Dakota has parts of South Dakota have the lowest life expectancy in the Western Hemisphere.
I hear you, and I understand that we probably do have the resources to solve a lot of these problems. But who's going to blow up the kids overseas if we take the money away from international excursions and
But it's not even. I'm on board with you there 110%. But the Army is a jobs program in many aspects of it. But at the same time, if you're going to sit there and if COVID was going to sit there and devastate our economy and we're going to rebrand it, and not every job is going to be an Amazon job, and you want to actually improve the lives of working class people who have been from urban areas to rural to ex-urban, who have been devastated by our modern economy and by the modern system, you need government involvement. You can't leave it up to the free market alone. And that's what the right is completely missing in this entire moment. Yeah. I know we're on a totally different
you see that with
tangent.
the tech, the mismanagement of the tech,
Oh, they don't even know
censorship.
what tech is. I mean, literally.
It's a private company, so it can do whatever
It can do whatever it wants.
They
Yeah,
don't
let it,
understand.
absolutely. It's like seeing like a guy screw your wife and saying, "Oh no, it's free will. She wanted to do it too." Like
They're saying that.
Yes,
though.
exactly. Like it's a free will. So you shouldn't be upset because it's what she wanted. It is literally nuts what they're sitting there and doing, and they're condoning losing because it's very profitable in the government sector to lose. It's very profitable. You sell a lot more books as the minority party, and
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.